So finally, all that remains for me to do is to call on the President of the Military History Society of Ireland, Brigadier General Tony Cudmore, to the podium to close the conference. And thank you, everybody.
Dear Yves, it's a great pleasure for me in my capacity as the President of the Military History Society of Ireland to take this closing slot on what has been an excellent conference, and I want to use it primarily to mark out and to appreciate all the effort and work that has been done, but also the participation by you, the audience, both here in the auditorium in Cathal Brugha Barracks and also further afield, right across the world, in fact, thanks to our friends providing technical support, creative technology, Berbua agus Banach. Thank you for your support in providing this mechanism. I think we certainly have learned a lot from our experiences over COVID-19, and one of them has been the requirement for us to reach out through other means, and that which we've taken for granted, our local physical contact, that we must maintain that contact under any circumstances. In thinking about this subject of the Civil War, I was struck by the words of the President of Ireland, Uachtaráin na hÉireann, speaking at the Civil War State Commemoration at the National Concert Hall on the 17th of September. And he stated, and I'm going to just quote from him if I may, "The violence that was waged as part of Ireland's Civil War in 1922 to 23 and its outcome was an appalling human tragedy for so many Irish families. Its legacies were manifold and harmful, remained so for succeeding generations, leaving the wounds of the war and its exclusions between former comrades unhealed for decades. A bitter remnant that stained Irish society, prevented social egalitarianism, and impeded cohesion." He went on to say, "A century on, as part of the important work to which we hopefully give the title Ethical Recall, we are now perhaps in a better position to seek to speak the fullness of the experience of the period, drawing on the existing and new scholarship, doing so with courage and a sense of inclusiveness." End quote. For some years, the deaths of both Cathal Brugha and Michael Collins have been remembered in this barracks. And this year in particular, 100 years later, we have shared that commemoration with members of the two extended families. This is, I believe, the fourth conference on the Civil War to be conducted here in Cathal Brugha Barracks, each building on the work of the previous event. In this conference, we have benefited from an excellent range of speakers, ensuring that we've achieved the purpose of drawing an existing and new scholarship to better reach a level of ethical recall on what remains an appalling human tragedy. Although I do not like to single out any one speaker, I feel I must thank especially Professor Tim Hoyt for travelling from the United States of America, and if I may, to compliment Dr. Pat McCarthy for coordinating a real-life helicopter landing as a backdrop to his talk on the Air Corps. And that beats any gun smoke that might be required associated with a Civil War conference. The event could not have been successfully achieved without tremendous work conducted by both members of the Military History Society of Ireland and Military Archives. The conference is a practical testimony to the special relationship that exists between MHSI and Military Archives. Thank you in particular to Dr. Pat McCarthy, Professor Ewan O'Halpin, our keynote speaker, Commandant Paul Mullally, not with us today, but instrumental in facilitating Eventbrite booking mechanisms, OIC Military Archives Commandant Dan Iotis, and his colleagues, Captain Sarah Coakley and Lieutenant Richard Wan. Thank you very much for what you've done. I wish also to thank the Officer Commanding Cathal Brugha Barracks and his catering staff for their practical support in providing lunch and refreshments, along with our CIS Communications Support Commandant John Kenny and Lieutenant Kieran Owen for provision of our internet connectivity. Also, a very special thanks to the Department of Tourism, Culture, Arts, Gaeltacht, Sports and Media, especially Orla Loughran and Myrna Lyons, for the financial support which has enabled the live online streaming of this conference. Due to COVID-19 restrictions, the Society, until quite recently, has had to limit the level of activity to remote conferencing and lectures via Zoom, which I'm delighted to say have proved to be very successful. But I'm very happy to report that actual physical Society lectures will recommence on the 7th of October in Griffith College, when Dr. Fionnuala Walsh will speak on the subject of Irish women and the First World War, to which you are all very welcome to attend either in Griffith Barracks or, in fact, on Zoom. Finally, I would like to encourage all of those listening who are not members of the Society to consider joining it, to enjoy and indeed to contribute to the annual programme of lectures, battlefield tours and a conference that the Society conducts every 12 months. Just as a plug, the Society was founded in 1949 and continues to promote the study of military history and, in particular, the history of warfare in Ireland and Irish men and women in war. Thank you again for your participation and safe home. Go raibh míle maith agaibh go léir agus slán abhaile. Thank you.